Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner with a special edition today of Forbidden Planet TV, where we are presenting the San Diego Comic-Con at Home panel for Titan Comics' amazing Blade Runner comics with the awesome creative team from those two comic book lines, Blade Runner 2029 and Blade Runner Origins. So here they all are with myself at San Diego Comic-Con at Home 2021. Thanks to Justin Dutta and our friends at San Diego for letting us run this. Enjoy. Welcome to San Diego 2021 and welcome to the virtual San Diego Blade Runner Titan Comics panel, where I'm joined by our mighty creative team for our line of Blade Runner books. So in no specific order, I have with us Jeff Connor from Alcon, the IP owners for Blade Runner, our creative editor, David Manley Leach, the author of Blade Runner 2029, Mike Johnson, and the entire creative team from Blade Runner Origins. We have Mello Brown, Kay Perkins, and Fernando Dagnino. Thank you, everybody. Give us all a big wave. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hello.
Great to see everybody. So as fans of our, I'm Andrew Sumner, by the way, from Titan Comics. And as fans of our Titan Comics line of Blade Runner will know, we've been producing a ton of epic Blade Runner goodness of late. We've got two lines of which you see the creative teams for both here. Blade Runner 2029 and Volume 1 Reunion has just been published now in July. And then Blade Runner Origins Volume 1 products will be available on August 17th. So, guys, if we could just do a quick round robin for everybody as to establish the tone. When were you first exposed to Blade Runner? I've asked this question of everybody in this room once or twice before. So, Fernando, I'm going to start with you, mate. When did you first encounter Blade Runner?
I think it was like 1988. I saw the movie in VHS tape. Because I think I wasn't taken to the cinema back then because it was like the rating must have been like higher to my age.
Yeah.
So, but I watched it on VHS nevertheless some years afterwards.
And was it the version with the Harrison Ford narration that you saw?
Yes, the first one.
Yeah,
the original one. Yes.
Which perhaps controversially is my favorite version, by the way. That's the one I like. And I think seeing it on VHS must have been brilliant, actually, mate. I think that adds a very kind of dystopian vibe to it almost.
Or really old vibe. It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
You're not getting any younger.
So true, but you look so good, mate.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
I know it's true. Jeff, when did you first encounter Blade Runner?
I saw it opening day in 1982 in 70mm.
Oh, mate, that's the way to do it. How about you?
Whereabouts? Where were you?
Oh yeah, where?
Oh, I saw it at the Sayufi Theater in San Jose. There were these big domes, like 5 of them, and they were all 70mm houses. We'd drive over from Santa Cruz and see all the big shows at that time.
Wow, that actually sounds very Blade Runner. To be honest, it sounds like you'd have the Tyrell Corp like branding on it quite easily.
They were unique theaters. I mean, there were rake seating, no obstructions, big surround sound. We saw Conan there and Star Trek. All the big road shows at the time.
Lovely. You're making me very nostalgic for that time. Leach, what about you, mate?
I saw a sneak preview in 1982 at the Shaftesbury Avenue Odeon on a Saturday morning. I went with Ryan Hughes, and it blew my tiny little art school mind.
Excellent. Good. We wouldn't expect anything less. How about you, Mello?
Yeah, I was introduced to the franchise in 1992, way before I was allowed to watch it. It was actually a parody of it on the show Tiny Toons. And they were trying to figure out which kids were actually real kids or replicants, and they figured it out because real kids didn't eat broccoli. And it had a very like noirish look about it. and didn't know what that word meant. But the images and mainly the trench coats stayed with me well into my teens, where I was actually able and allowed to watch Blade Runner at that point.
Yeah, that is fantastic, mate. Mighty Mike Johnson, how about you, mate?
I first saw Blade Runner last night, actually, for the first time. Lives up to the hype. Yeah, lives up to the hype.
Yeah. I know this was going to be the Supergirl panel until about 20 minutes ago. We started switching at the last minute.
I first saw it on VHS. My parents wouldn't let me see it in the theater because it was too mature for my little brain. So, and then later I saw it on 70 millimeter in Chicago on the big screen.
Nice. Yeah, Chicago, good choice. Perkins, how about yourself?
My stepdad is a big Blade Runner fan, so he was the first person to introduce me to it, and I saw it on a giant Zenith tube TV circa mid-90s. And he sat me down. He goes, "Just you wait, this will blow your mind." Cut to however many years later, look, still blowing my mind.
And you must be blowing his mind now, right? Kind of like.
Yeah, he's a little envious, and he sends me pictures. He's like, "Look what I got." Thanks for your support, Dad.
Yeah, I love it. That's brilliant. Now we've got two creative teams here. So I thought the way we'd approach this initially is, and we've got some people who work across both, like Jeff and Leach. So first of all, Mike, Jeff, big guy, what can you tell us that this creative team on Blade Runner Origins are delivering at the moment? What's your view of the work they're doing on that book?
Chuck us in at the deep end. I think it's.
Well, you are the editor, mate. I just thought you'd know the answer to that question.
Oh, I do. It's just I'm going to be making lots of fawning sounds, and I'm just. I think that they're producing something of remarkable awesomeness. Sorry, it's late for me. I should be in bed. This is much later than I normally am. I love it. I mean, I think Mello and Perkins, your script is it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. I've been there since the beginning, and just watching the story unfold, I'm exhilarated by it. The crazy thing is, when you work on a comic, you never really read it properly as a comic because you're too busy. So it's only when I get to see the finished thing that I get to read it. Like the book comes out and I can sit down and read it, and I'm blown away by it. Wow. I'm loving it. Fernando, your artwork is just staggering. I mean, Jesus.
Thank you.
Right on. It's amazing.
Yeah, very much so.
Amazing.
It's just. I mean, I thought Andrew Guinaldo, who does Blade Runner 2029, he's fantastic too. But both of you have brought your own unique visual storytelling to both of these books. I'm in honor, not in honor. I'm in awe of both of you. I think the work you're producing is absolutely staggering. Seriously staggering. So
thank you so much.
No, I mean it. I mean it. I tend to get very overblown with this sort of stuff, but I love what you guys are doing. I think both Origins and 2029 are just the bomb. Seriously, that's it.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think? What's your take on Origins?
I love that I get to read a Blade Runner comic that I'm not involved in. I get to be a fan.
Yeah,
the best of both worlds. I love these two writers as people and as writers, and Fernando's work just blows me away.
Thank you.
As David said, we're so lucky to have both Andres and Fernando on these books. And I think that the real magic trick is both of these artists have created the world of Blade Runner on the page in their own unique way, but they both maintain the heart of Blade Runner in their work.
absolutely.
It's just fantastic to see.
Yeah, amen to that. I think you're absolutely right. And guys, Perkins, Fernando, Mello, what do you think about what Mike and Andres are doing on 2029?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Give me some.
I'm actually a really big fan of everything that's happening in that book in regards to it's going full circle with the characterization. I think if you follow it from beginning to where it is now, it's actually doing the thing that narratives should do, which is character was the basis for what a Blade Runner is, which is practically a villain, and you're following an anti-hero story. And we're at this point now in the story where it's like the accountability for those actions, because saying that you don't want to do it anymore is not enough. It's excellent narration and art to back it all up.
Perfectly said. And I love Ash as a character. I've always been a big fan of hers, and to see her journey over 2019 and then now into 2029, she feels so real to me, and I think that's a whole testament to the storytelling that of Mike and Andres. They're just a great, perfect pairing that humanizes these characters that started in one place but now are in a completely different place by the genius of their storytelling.
I also want to just name check Marco Lesko, our colorist on both books.
Yes.
I think
Incredible colors.
yes, absolutely. I just really want to do that because I love what Marco's doing. I really do.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say the same thing. I mean, how he's able to to switch the color from my style to Andres, which is very, very different one from the other.
Yeah.
And he's able to adapt a really more noirish kind of style to the maybe more futuristic other style of the other series. Is gorgeous. I mean, I love his work.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And he's such a craftsman. I mean, he actually, when he was working up the color palette for Blade Runner 2019, he actually used the film as his reference points. He did a whole color palette based just on the film. And if you picked him up on something, he would actually show you the reference from the film and say, well, I got these colors from here, And he did the same thing for you as well. He's just such a passionate colorist. It's superb. I think, and I love the fact that he's working on both titles. I really do think he's great. So I just had to name check him. Sorry, guys.
And shout out to Jim Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Campbell.
Nice one, Mike. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, right on. No, very good, very good. Jeff, it's your role, of course, to oversee the Blade Runner IP. How do you feel about both of these books and what's happened over the last 2 years of publishing them?
Well, I'm so impressed by the level of commitment to the world. This isn't just a job. It's it goes beyond that. And the fact that we have such a broad canvas to work on, and that we can explore these themes and develop these things, stay within the Blade Runner world, but at the same time be fresh and new. It's really the fulfillment of what speculative fiction is supposed to be. It's like David said, it's very exciting to be involved in it. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's a complete pleasure for everybody. And every now and again, you get books that transcend commerce and transcend the deals that put them together, and they're just amazing books to have drop into the office and works of art in progress. And that's certainly what all you guys are achieving with this. It's just such a wonderful moment, and I've said this to all of you guys before in individual bits. When the scripts land, when the art lands, everybody's just blown away. It's a book that everybody's genuinely excited to see take shape. And on that note, Mike, your core protagonist is Ash. Now, in this next 2029 collection, which is a reunion, what can you tell us about where Ash is and what's going on in Ash's world?
Yeah, so Ash in our 2019 book, as Mello alluded to, was very much a hardcore Blade Runner who thought replicants were essentially no different than toasters running around, and you could execute them and sell them for parts. And over the course of the 2019 book, she had her perspective changed radically. In 2029, she's actually living a double life. She's a Blade Runner by day, hunting replicants, but her other life, she lives, her lover and partner is a replicant named Freyza, who we actually meet in the 2049 film. She's the woman missing the eye who talks to Kay in the movie. So she's helping Freyza protect replicants and see them off to new lives through a replicant underground. So in her day job as a Blade Runner, there are dangerous replicants out there, and Ash will catch them. But the replicants that aren't dangerous, she feeds into the replicant underground. So that's her double life, and that's not sustainable in this world. And the story of 2029 is how that is all going to go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert. No, it's Blade Runner. Everything's happy. Everything ends up.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's happy ending Blade Runner. Come on.
Totally.
Yeah, puppies and kittens.
And guys, on the Blade Runner Origins team, what can you tell the audience for the panel about the jumping off point for Origins and what's happening with this great book you're producing?
We're basically showing a story from the perspective of the first Blade Runner to ever take the job, being Detective Cal Moreau, who is coming off of actually working within the colonies. When I say working, he's actually a part of the military, and had a rough time up there in regards to everything involving replicants being introduced to warfare, him finding himself even replaced in that regards, being traumatized on multiple levels by people he's seen die and whatnot. And that even places him in a position where he kind of feels like what happens to replicant models as they're slowly replaced and removed. And there's a really interesting parallel there. From there, we're actually following the story without dipping too much into spoiler territory. Be sure to buy the trade paperback. But there's a lot going on where we'll see what the replicant program is, not only from a corporate perspective, but from the perspective of the people within Los Angeles themselves. Yeah. And how that makes them feel in regards to the society as a whole as it moves forward. And we'll also be dipping into why there's an absolute need for a replicant in a lot of people's eyes, I'm sorry, a Blade Runner in a lot of people's eyes, as opposed to other people in new sectors that we haven't explored as thoroughly before.
Yeah, well said, mate. Very interesting. And Fernando, what is it that the visual look of Blade Runner is so important, it's so integral, and clearly everybody around here loves your work. What is it that you've been proudest of in bringing Perkins and Mello's work to life?
I think mostly, I mean, I'm a big fan of the franchise of Blade Runner, so I'm really well acquainted with the world of Blade Runner. So what we talked about in the beginning was as the story takes place in 2009, like 10 years before the original story, was to take away some of the high-tech end of the like in the buildings and everywhere. So it's more kind of a noirish, 1950s kind of noir detective story, which I'm really fond of anyway. So and at the same time, creating a new world which feeds upon the one from the original film, but then also imagining how it would be like. And that made me think how a city changes in 10 years' time, how new buildings are being built, and how the new technology is being incorporated. So that made me think a lot, for example, in my city, how it changed in 10 years. And that was very interesting. I kind of had to reflect, but there's lots of also imagination and, I don't know, kind of taking inspiration from films, like we're in the 50s and putting some sort of cyber noir steampunk there a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, actually, mate. And with regard to the whole, something you've all touched upon is the concept of the replicant, right? What is it that you think is the power of that character? Why are readers, viewers so fascinated with the concept of the replicant? Perkins, what do you think it is about the replicant that speaks to people?
Well, it really externalizes a question I know that we all think about at some point in our lives, is what makes us more human than the other person, or what are the gradations of humanity? And that putting it in an externalized body, and playing with the sentience argument, I feel like has been attractive to people since the dawn of just robotics in general. So it's fun to play with that and to play with it within the noir framework to really like lead into those themes. I just think it's such a cool mix of things that are just generally very attractive to people. But ultimately it comes down to that basic question of where does everyone fall on this scale?
Yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. How about yourself, Mike? Have you got any additional thoughts about the nature of replicants and why we respond to them?
Yeah, I think big part of it, you know, coming out of the middle of the 20th century, the paranoia of the Cold War and who can you trust. I think the story, our society is going through so many changes in terms of how do we define identity and who's allowed to be true to themselves, who's allowed to be their true self, that this story will speak to generations as it has, and will keep doing so. It's very timely. These are sort of questions that society is always dealing with. But I think there's that sort of paranoia of like, who goes there? Who can we trust? It's a classic sci-fi trope. But I think when you put it in the context of noir and mystery, especially, that's a really juicy combination. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well
think
said,
there's
Mike.
also an aspect of the original sci-fi novel, which is Frankenstein, you know, building a superior person that you both envy and fear at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
there's something very attractive about it and fascinating about it. And it's obviously spanned the test of time. So I think that's part of it as well.
I think that's very well said, mate.
Yeah,
Mello.
very much. Sorry, just to piggyback
Oh,
on
yeah.
that, very much so that idea of fear of technology, right? Like we're constantly coming up with these new things, and every time there's some new invention or something, immediately people start to wonder, how will this be abused, whether it's the internet or all sorts of things. So that fear of technology as well is never going to go away. I mean, it's going to be with us for however long, and Blade Runner is going to be relevant for decades, centuries.
I mean, I think the truth is it gets more relevant every day, right? Because the world we're living in now, is dominated by corporations. It's dominated by technology. It's lost any sense of connection with morality. I mean, I think there was a very loose connection with morality anyway when you look beneath the hood of imperialism and whatnot. But even all the polite discourse about pretending that a lot of political figures are balanced human beings, that's just all gone. Within the last decade, and we seem to be living increasingly in the dystopian world of Blade Runner. Is that something you feel when you're creating the books?
Yeah, Mike, tell us about your critique.
I want to hear
capitalism.
Bello and Perky talk.
In regards to that, I think the main thing that we've actually been focusing on within our book, specifically because of that, is an area that we want to explore more, which are the slums within Los Angeles, and how it's a culmination of different cultures within that area. From the movies, we definitely know about global warming destroying so much. It's a many apocalyptic environments and things like that. One thing that we wanted to focus on heavily is, how do people continue to exist, and what does that look like, and show some hope that actually exists in the Blade Runner universe. And a big part of that is people would immigrate towards the areas that we've normally seen and create this area where the Cold War is the slums. What it actually is a culmination of different societies, where it looks like more like Golden Guy or Shinjuku in Tokyo, where it's just like signs of different things, of different languages, buildings of different architecture. Fernando, you've been doing an amazing job showing this as
Thank
well.
you.
It's just holy, like I don't know what I could say on a Comic-Con panel, like what words I could say. But and all of these things put together show that it's building this community where it's like someone can be like, hey, my mom made like this Mandarin dish, and we're swapping it with the people across the street who have this specifically Mexican dish, and they are forming their own specific culture within cyberpunk that is separate from the neon lights and stuff like that we usually see within the city. Because when you shut off all the neon, it's a terrifying looking place. The neon is there for a reason. And we want to show that there's a heart between amongst every person that's kind of walking around that environment.
Mate, that is so beautifully said. I really feel that's very, very well expressed. I really feel that, man. I think the space in between the neon is such an interesting way to look at it all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Leach, what about yourself? Looking upon it all as you do.
Well, what do I think of Replicants, you mean?
No, just in terms of the relationship between Blade Runner and the societal decay we're in the middle of, and versus the societal decay that you're exploring for entertainment purposes within the Blade Runner books.
It's weird because initially the question you asked was about replicants and how I find the idea of replicants insanely fascinating. I mean, this seems weird. I remember once going to a factory and watching a robotic arm, right, go through the motions of a massive thing it was, and it was moving crates from one part of the warehouse to another part, but it was doing it exact every single time. And I found myself standing there watching this arm for a good 10 minutes, waiting for it to make a mistake. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. I think the thing was, if we had replicants, I find when I watch the movies and when I read the comics, there's something about the replicants that I find deeply fascinating. I want to watch them. I want to see how they move. I want to spot when they go wrong, or spot when they reveal themselves. I find them exhilarating to watch. So for me, it's sort of I'm so on their side in their plight. I want the Blade Runners to fail. I want the replicants to sort of rise up and take control, because I keep hoping that the replicants won't F it up like the humans have, So if anything, I see the whole thing. It's the humans have destroyed the earth. The humans are spreading like a disease across the outer colonies and all that, and yet the replicants seem to offer salvation. So for me, I'm completely on their side. I want the humans to fail. I want the replicants to take over. So you talk about the sort of the societal collapse and all that. I want it to collapse. I want the replicants to rise up and take control. I want Yotan to win. I want all this to happen because I don't like the humans.
Well, that assumes they have warm and fuzzy feelings towards humans. They're going to keep us as pets.
No, I don't mind. They can kill us all. I really don't mind. I'm if I have to die so the replicants can survive, I'm there. By all means, annihilate me.
This panel's getting dark.
Yeah, no, it's like Blade Runner comics panel, aka human beings suck.
Yeah.
But it's true, right? That's the thing.
That is depressing and desperate, David.
Hey, welcome to my world.
Yeah. No,
That's comic books, ladies and gentlemen. Desperate and depressing.
Right on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bring on the dismal.
That's the Leech experience. Jolly on the outside, desperately tortured on the inside.
Hey, you asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking about something I know brings David a great deal of joy, back to your fantastic artwork, Fernando. Yeah. So I've got in the series so far, what for you have been the high points in terms of moments that you've illustrated that you really loved illustrating, or characters that you've really enjoyed?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to talk about the fascination of the replicants for me.
Oh yeah, please, yeah.
And I'll tie it afterwards with the fascinates me of it. But I think it refers to universals. It's an existentialist metaphor of why do we have to end? For example, why do we have an identity and then we have to finish it? I mean, and and asking have we been created. So those are just like universal questions that will remain like for years to come. I mean, maybe centuries. I don't know. So, and in relation to what Melo so beautifully said, it's like when those are like a metaphorical existential, I mean, issue in the first film, and this origins, I mean, series, it relates more with a social approach, which I'm really fond of. And I really love drawing it. I really love drawing the slums, this multicultural diversity that really takes place in the slums, how we have to mix the different languages and everything, different types of food. I love the pierogies, the Mexican food. I mean, it gives a realistic approach, which I'm really falling in love with.
Very well said. That's lovely. That's lovely. And can you pick anything out? You know, kind of in terms of, if you said that there was an issue that was that the purest distillation of your vision of Blade Runner for you so far, is there a particular one that you'd choose?
I would choose two scenes, especially one is the street market, where you have all different stands and different foods and sellings. Everyone sells some different things. And the other one's the Sinking Venice Museum, which is, I mean, it was really a pleasure to draw. Yeah. I mean, I had really a blast there.
It's so stunning, the way that you executed it. That's what I love about comics, is that Melo and I conceive these things that feel like so far beyond our capabilities to execute in a visual manner. And then you take it and turn it into something even grander than we envisioned. And this is what I love about it. It's magic.
I agree. It's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. It came out even better than I think we even imagined. If you're watching this, please, issue 4, take a look. It is a simulated Venice sinking, and to show just kind of like the degradation of the world from a perspective of being in a museum. They sink it once a day. And even taking the artificialness of this exhibit, Fernando kept that in mind while also making it look like a perfect simulation of Venice. It's so hard to describe, and at the same time, it's so gorgeous. It's so beautiful, and the scene that goes that's happening there is so tragic and lovely in different ways of different relationships being formed. Fernando was a master at his work.
Thank you. I really love the scene. Really, so well built.
For me, there's two things that Fernando drew which really stayed with me. One of them was one of the very first things you drew, which was that a double-page spread of the city in issue 1, which got you the job. I mean, everyone saw that. It was just like, yeah, that's it. We got our guy, you know. But the other one is just this. You drew that absolutely beautiful tram, the street tram going through.
Oh yes.
Which was just what I loved about that was it was your design, but it was in keeping with what Sid Mead had done. It was in keeping with the whole Blade Runner vibe, and yet you had designed it from scratch. It looked glorious, you know. It's sensational, and that's what I find terrific is that your artwork, it pays homage to Sid Mead and the other designers.
Yeah.
And yet it's you, and yet you managed to come up with your own version. Superb, absolutely superb.
Thank you. I really had fun with the tram.
Yeah, it showed.
Yeah.
And I also want to shout out Marco on the tram as well. The way that you don't see a whole lot of sunlight in Blade Runner, so the way sunset is used in a very specific Blade Runner way in terms of warm colors and things like that. It's sort of showing what we're actually portraying within our story is that this is because it's the origin story, this is a change in humanity. It is certain people being like dying out or certain things dying out while a new society is rising. And even something very small like a sunset at a certain time and how it reflects on the technology that is aging next to things that are new. Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're also in this time period seeing for the first time a transition take place where the replicants are going from pure product to a new species in a way.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting time to explore. And also about Fernando's artwork is you're so great with architecture, but also your action is spot on. When Cal fighting off the attackers in the apartment with that no look shot, I mean,
Yeah.
It's really, really dynamic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Thank you.
It's a Fernando fan club.
Yeah.
Quite right, quite rightly so as well. Quite rightly so.
It's
Hey.
because I'm having fun too.
And that's it though, mate. You can see it. You can absolutely see it in the beauty of your work. I think that the thing that I would say, despite the dystopian themes and some of the human misery aspects that we've touched upon, or the miserable, nature of humanity, is that there's a tremendous amount of joy in both of these Blade Runner books. I find, and not avert joy in the sense you're dealing with happy people, but the actual storytelling. It's such bravura storytelling. From a script and concept and art perspective, I think what you guys have collectively achieved is something really special. I can see that you're proud of it, and you should be. I know you're very proud of it, Jeff. It's just an amazing thing to have seen come together. And on that note, big guy Mike, how has your working relationship been since you incepted all these series back in the day?
Well, this week it was David saying, when can I have the next script? And me saying, I'm probably going to need the weekend. And then, can you get me something by Tuesday? And I haven't responded to that email, so I'll just do it here. Yeah, I can get you something. That's like the state of the art, how the relationship works. But it's always been good. And I think David's enthusiasm and love for Blade Runner makes the book better. I think when you have an editor that is not just, you feel like it's just sort of, getting the trains through the station on time, but somebody who's actually invested in the story, and Jeff as well, who not only represents the IP holder, but Jeff's love and knowledge of the franchise is invaluable to what we're doing. That makes it fun, and lucky to have these partners. And
thank you very much. That means a lot, actually.
The other thing I should add is it's really special to be able to work with the same creative team, having worked with Andres, and I know Perkins and Mello working with Fernando. You have a team, and you get used to how each part of the team works. I know that I can write anything, and Andres can draw it. It creates a freedom for the writer, and it's just been great. And that extends to Marco and Jim as well.
I think also, I think you're absolutely right. I'd like to add that what amazes me about both Fernando and Andres is that every issue they get better, and you sort of go, well, that was a great issue. That's it. We've peaked, and now next month they're going to peak again. You guys just haven't plateaued yet, and it's amazing.
Just wait till Tuesday.
I tell you, the other thing I wanted to say, what I find fascinating about both these books is that they're both set in the Blade Runner universe, but they both have their own unique voices. I mean, like yours, Mike. Yours is like classic sort of par to the bone. Your scripts are so sparse. There's a real skill to that. And Perkins Mello, your scripts are yours are involved. They're in depth. And they're both Blade Runner, but they're both different. And I think that's great. They're not trying to mimic each other. They stand alone as their own unique voice. And I think that's what makes both books so exciting, is that they're both different. I think that really helps, definitely.
I think that's kudos to the universe, because the universe is so expansive, and there's so many pockets to explore in it. I think that comes from the brilliance of the creation of the universe, and being able to find all these different micro worlds within something so big. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I love how the books complement each other and it's not an echo, that they are, they're distinct and yet in a way part of a whole. And as more books are added and we go forward, just create a mosaic of goodness, PKD goodness.
The Blade Runner universe.
Well, that's it. You've created a Blade Runner comics universe, and it's amazing to see that come together. I think the thing you touched upon is the the Lee and Kirby moment that you guys are having with, you've got a consistent art and script team, month after month after month. That's what builds universes, and a thematic through line. And I love the harmony that you guys have on these two very different books in the same universe. I mean, I know that when Origins kicked off, Mike, you were briefly involved from a kind of like team perspective with Perkins and Mallow, and clearly you guys have stayed in touch and you've remained close throughout the process. Is that a lot of fun, that level of collaboration?
I'll let Mike answer. No.
Fun, Mike.
I mean, we are great friends off panel, off in real life. So it's just fun. We all have busy schedules, so we haven't been as in touch in the last couple months, but that's also because the books have launched and we see, what the others are doing. We talk about, hey, I'm planning this. Does this step on anything you're going to do? So yeah, there's always that communication. But again, the fun for me is like just being a fan and getting to read their stuff. It's just so great. And anybody watching this who has picked up the Ash story, who hasn't picked up Origins, you have to pick up Origins. Yeah. It is the best Blade Runner comic book out there, I have to say. So.
Oh, look at that, man.
Oh,
they're all amazing. And yeah, and in regards to everything, in terms of like communication going forward and things like that, I would even say it was like, I guess it was like a year ago now, we started having conversations as to like, this is emotionally where we want our characters to be. If anyone's watching this and even wants to like get into like how do you structure comics or anything like that, it's all just about like you figure out what you want to say by the time you hit the end of a year, and that makes everything a lot easier. And we obviously won't say what we're trying to say at the end of that 1 year mark for since that time, but we both were just we were all like in this place in terms of like just our different books of just being like, this is where these characters need to end up, and it's clear where ours ends up. He's a Blade Runner now. but we also saw where Ash was going. We made sure we didn't bump up against that, and it's two very tumultuous like very difficult journeys that our leads are going through, with these wide and very big cast of characters that exist within these different times, and these different decades feel like completely different universes. So being able to explore that, and a lot of our work responding to things that will happen within Mike's book, and a lot of what Mike has been doing, which is a response and an iteration upon the events that are playing out now. All of that is intentional, and a lot of it has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well said, mate. That's
Perks. What do you agree, or are you not having a good time?
Not having a good time. No, I completely agree with everything that's been said, and I think, yeah, being aware of what each other is doing, but ultimately, as Mello said, starting in that place of this is the story we want to tell, and this is the long journey that we break up into 12 issues. Being aware of that constantly, and also just doing some like, I'm having an issue, guys. Can I bring the scene to both of you? I need help with this turn. I need a pitch for this specific location. Like, those conversations happen offline too. So they're just, my NJ has been an incredible resource for us.
Likewise.
And
there's a couple, I
wasn't gonna say, and
no,
him,
you're exactly right. There's a couple scenes in my book that like came right out of conversations with you guys that are like, oh, okay, that wouldn't have happened.
Team effort.
We didn't have the collaboration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, everybody, is dystopian creativity in action, aka the Blade Runner 2021 panel for San Diego Comic-Con from Titan Comics. And I've been joined with the genius creators of our two Blade Runner comics, Kay Perkins, Fernando Dagnino, Mike Johnson, Mello Brown, under the steady hand of Jeff Connor, and the always entertaining David Leach conquers the universe hand of David Manley Leach. Take care, everybody. If you want to see more interviews with this amazing team of creators, check out Forbidden Planet TV on YouTube, where we have a wealth of interesting behind-the-scenes conversations about these ongoing Blade Runner series. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon. All the very best. Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Go grab the books.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.